How's it going, everybody? So I'm just gonna show you how I did my battery mod to my Game Boy Color. I'm not gonna go through the entire how-to process by actually doing it to, let's say, one that has not been done yet. But I'm going to show you how I at least did it to this one so you can do it to yours. The cutting and what needs to be removed may vary depending on what kind of battery you choose. This battery is just ever so slightly oversized for the compartment, even though you do have a little bit of room on the right and the left, which is ideal because you do want to be able to solder to the terminals. So what I want to show you in comparison between the two, this one I've already cut out here because I did a speed toggle switch for an overclock mod. So that's cut out. Normally there would be a sticker and some plastic here. So comparing between the two, underneath the battery, you're going to want to remove this entire middle bracket right here, except for this little flat piece that's, you know, like a 1/2 inch right here. So you just want to go cut out the center. I mean, you can't cut it out, it doesn't matter, but I leave it in there just in case you have maybe a battery that doesn't need all the extra space. Then you're going to want to remove this battery terminal here, which is underneath. There's going to be a clip, and you remove that clip, it pops right out. You can leave this battery terminal in here because this is the one that's on the motherboard itself and what you're going to be actually soldering to. You can trim down the spring if you want. I chose not to, but it doesn't really matter. And then this whole back wall right here needs to come out. And as you can see on mine, the battery is actually inside and it's resting against the cartridge connector. So that gives you an idea of how much you need to really remove. And it's going to come out pretty much up to right where the battery logo is. You need to cut out this entire section. And after you've got that, the battery I used was a Vivitar 3.7 volt, 1200 milliamp, 4.4 watt hours. It's a camera battery. And then I used this board right here, which should be I think it's a TP4056 board. I can leave a link in the description. And you basically just put some double-sided sticky tape on the bottom of this, and you'll wire from these terminals to these. And on the left side, it'll have B plus and B minus on the inside. And then on the outer portions right here on the board, it will say out. So those are those two connections are going to be going to the actual Game Boy. So from B positive right here in the middle, we'll go to positive on the battery, so you can see with the red wire. And on this B minus with the blue wire is going to the negative terminal of your battery. And then on the out, which is negative here, that will go to the negative, which is actually down here. And then you have the out positive going to the positive up here for the Game Boy. And the reason for that is because it's drawing the current from the battery here into the battery terminals on the board, and then it will output it to the Game Boy. Now you have micro USB here to charge, and when you want to charge, you just plug in your micro USB. It will give you a green and a red indicator for charging and green when it's full. The reason why I chose to put it in here like this versus having like a port on the side or on the bottom is because I did want to keep the stock look. So I wanted to be able to still use my cover and have it look like nothing happened. And that's another reason why when I did my speed toggle switch for the overclock, that I have the switch included right there because it looks just kind of like a sleeper. So I thought that was pretty cool. On my Game Boy Advance, I did drill out a hole in the bottom, and I made it look a little bit more like it was like a stock port. But that is pretty much what you need to do. It's a very simple mod, and it's very useful. So just to prove that this does work, if you haven't seen one of the other videos, oh, real quick before I test, because of the size of this particular battery I used, I did need to kind of modify the battery door because it wasn't snapping in, since the battery does protrude just a little bit right there. So I did cut off one of the tabs from here, and I super glued it onto the side here just to make it a little bit higher. And so when I push it in, I actually just kind of push down and pull, and it stays. And that's with the overclocking on. This is running at 12 megahertz. And if you want to see it drop down to normal, just go into that right there. If you can fit your finger in it, then great. Sometimes you can't. See if I can get like a pen or something. I'll use my Pokeball earring. Makes sense. There you go. Now, one thing I will mention, even though it's kind of a little irrelevant to the video, is with the speed toggle switches, once you've engaged it to stock speed, you can't just turn it back to overclock while in game, because the Game Boy chooses the fastest clock speed only on boot. So if you want to go back to it, just turn it off, you switch it back. And now sometimes when you turn it on, after doing this, sometimes the crystal will not re-engage to the overclock speed. Sometimes it messes up, but there you go, worked. Anyways, the point of this video was to showcase and give you an idea of how to install this. I will eventually make another video on the actual cutting process if none of what I said makes any sense. But this Game Boy has everything that's done to this one, done to this, except for the batteries, so I might do it to this one later. Hopefully what I had said made enough sense to help you get the idea of how to mod this with a battery. You can always use a smaller battery, it doesn't matter. 3.7 volts is going to be an ideal voltage for a battery to choose, and this one's a 1200 milliamp hour battery, so it's a good choice. You just don't want to go too high, and you just don't want the battery to be too fat, because then you're going to run into issues with space. So thank you for watching, and hopefully this was helpful to you.